There is a simple, profound, and often misunderstood secret that separates those who live a life of happiness and wealth from those who are always struggling. It's not about luck, it's not about background, and it's not about working harder at your job. The legendary business philosopher Jim Rohn gave us the master key in one simple sentence. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. At first, this sounds like a paradox. How can working on yourself be more important than the work that pays your bills? But this idea is the foundation for a truly magnificent life. It's the understanding that your external world, your income, your relationships, your health, is a direct reflection of your internal world, your philosophy, your character, and your skills. Success is not something you pursue, it is something you attract by the person you become. Today, we will unpack this profound wisdom. We will blend the practical genius of Jim Rohn with the timeless insights of the world's greatest philosophers to give you a clear 3-part blueprint for personal transformation. This isn't just about motivation. It's about a fundamental re-engineering of the self. This is your guide to becoming the architect of a life you truly love. Part 1. The Foundation. How to find the ideas that change. Everything. Jim Rohn taught that the biggest problem in life is not a lack of money, it's a lack of ideas on how to create value. Your entire life can change in the instant you encounter one new, powerful idea. So, where do we find them? This is a question that has been at the heart of philosophy for millennia. The great Greek philosopher Socrates believed that wisdom was the ultimate virtue. He famously said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." This is the starting point. You must first have the humility to admit you don't have all the answers, which opens the door to seek them out. You must make your own growth a conscious, deliberate study. Don't leave your life to chance. Here are 3 powerful ways to find the ideas that will transform your life. First, by reading. As Jim Rohn said, all the successful people I know are readers. One book can save you 5 years of mistakes. You can learn from the experiences of others, from the greatest minds in history, all for the price of a book. This isn't just about reading, it's about reading with a purpose. If you want to be a better leader, study biographies of great leaders. If you want to be a better parent, study child psychology. A powerful Eastern parallel comes from the teachings of Confucius, who said, "By 3 methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest." Reading is the art of learning from the experience of others, allowing you to bypass the bitterest path. A 30-minute daily reading habit is a small investment with an extraordinary return. Second, by listening. Your environment is critical. Jim Rohn famously said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Seek out people who are where you want to be and become a masterful listener. Imagine you're an aspiring entrepreneur. The common path is to only network with other struggling entrepreneurs, where you all share the same struggles and limiting beliefs. A wiser path is to find a way to offer value to someone who is already successful. Offer to buy them lunch, not to pitch your idea, but simply to listen to their story, to understand how they think. The one idea you might gain from that 2-hour conversation could be worth more than years of your own trial and error. Third, by observing. Many of life's greatest lessons are not spoken, they are demonstrated. Watch successful people. How do they carry themselves? How do they handle pressure? How do they treat others? Greek philosopher Aristotle taught that virtue is not an idea, but a habit. We become just by doing just acts, brave by doing brave acts. Success is also a habit. By observing and modeling the habits of those you admire, you begin to install their operating system into your own life. Part 2. The action, the discipline that builds your future. Finding great ideas is the first step, but ideas without action are just a form of intellectual entertainment. The second and most critical part of this blueprint is action. Jim Rohn taught that we must get excited over our ability to make ourselves do the necessary things. This is the core of discipline. Now, discipline is a word that many people find intimidating. It brings to mind a life of harsh restriction and no fun. But this is a complete misunderstanding. The ancient Stoics saw discipline not as a punishment, but as the source of all true freedom. The philosopher Epictetus, who was born a slave, became one of the freest men in Rome because he understood that the one thing no one could ever control was his own mind and his own choices. He said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Discipline is not the cage. It is the key that unlocks the cage of our own bad habits, our procrastination, and our fears. So how do we build it? The secret is to start with the small disciplines. If you can't make yourself go for a 10-minute walk, you will never have the discipline to build a business. If you can't make yourself read for 10 pages, you will never write a book. Imagine you have a huge goal of getting in the best shape of your life. The undisciplined mind says, "I'll start tomorrow, and I'll do 2 hours at the gym every day." This is a recipe for failure because it's too big of a leap. The wise, disciplined approach is to start with a ridiculously small promise. Today, I will put on my running shoes and walk to the end of the driveway. That's it. Anyone can do that. But the act of keeping that small promise to yourself begins to build the muscle of integrity. The next day you walk around the block. The next week you run around it. The small disciplines, compounded over time, are what lead to massive transformations. As the Eastern wisdom of Laozi reminds us in the Tao Te Ching, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Part 3. The mindset, the philosophy that sustains you. You have the ideas. You are taking disciplined action. But there is a third essential element, the philosophy that sustains you when you face the inevitable setbacks and challenges. Jim Rohn's core philosophy was one of personal responsibility. It's the simple but radical idea that your life is your own creation. He would say, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." This is the ultimate rejection of victimhood. This aligns perfectly with the wisdom of the Zen tradition. A Zen master would teach that you cannot control the weather, but you can learn to become a better sailor. Complaining about the storm is a waste of energy. A wise person accepts the reality of the storm and asks, "Okay, given this storm, what is my next wise move?" Your personal philosophy is the lens through which you see the world. It determines whether you see a setback as a catastrophe or as a learning opportunity. It determines whether you see a challenge as a barrier or as a test designed to make you stronger. Let's say 2 people start a new business. In the first year, they both face a major unexpected setback. A key supplier goes out of business. The person with a weak philosophy says, "This is a disaster. We had such bad luck. It's impossible to succeed in this market." Their story is one of victimhood. They give up. The person with a strong Rohn-inspired philosophy says, "Okay, this is a challenge. The plan didn't work. The obstacle is not the problem. The obstacle is part of the path. What can we learn from this? How can we pivot? How can we become better because of this? Their story is one of resilience and responsibility. They don't just survive, they become stronger and more innovative as a result of the setback. Becoming the person. The great lesson from Jim Rohn and the timeless philosophers is this: your goal is not to get the success, the wealth, or the happiness. Your goal is to become the person who is capable of attracting, creating, and sustaining those things. It starts by changing your library, your listening habits, and your observations. It is built through the small, daily disciplines that forge your character. And it is sustained by a powerful personal philosophy that allows you to turn every experience, good or bad, into a source of wisdom and strength. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job, for when you grow, your entire world grows with you. The income, the relationships, the joy you seek are not hiding in the world outside of you. They are hiding within you, waiting for you to become the person who is ready to receive them. The journey begins today with the very next idea you choose to learn and the very next small promise you choose to keep.